Chris, can you hear us?
Loud and clear. Can you hear me okay?
Perfect. Yes.
Okay, sounds good.
Murphy's Law. I'm very familiar with Murphy.
We lost a drive. Yay.
All right, I would like to call the meeting to order for the Nisswa Planning Commission Board of Adjustment for Tuesday, October 4th, 2022. Roll call, please.
Don Jacobson.
Gary Harris.
Josh Young.
Dave Reese.
Maggie Wentler, Bethany Satterland.
Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda? Being none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
I'll second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Next, to approve the meeting minutes for September 6th, 2022. Are there any corrections or additions to those minutes?
No.
Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Next item is an open forum. Is there anyone present tonight that would like to speak towards anything not on the agenda this evening? Okay. Moving on to public hearings, I'll entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
So move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. All right, first item is preliminary plat application 027-22 to replat Roy Ridge with adjustments to the existing 7 lots within the Shoreline Residential Zoning District. No new parcels are being created and no building or development is being proposed. The subject property is located at Highland Avenue. PIDs 281-00543, 281-00544, 281-00545, 281-00546, 281-00547, 281-00548, 281-00549, 281-00550, 281-00552, 281-00553. Owner applicant Roy Ridge Homeowners Association. Bethany, your staff report.
Thank you. The applicants are requesting that the Planning Commission recommend the approval of preliminary plat Roy Ridge First Edition. Roy Ridge was platted in 1985, consists of 7 lots for residential purposes, 1 lot, lot 8 for a common space, and 3 outlots. Originally individually, or outlot C originally individually owned and later deeded back for open space. The proposed replat consists of the 7 original single-family residential lots reconfigured to add private structures and amenities to each of the 7 lots. Lot 8 has been revised to absorb outlot C. Outlot D will be added to provide for the private garage building that was built belonging to lot 2, and the ownership of lot D will be addressed in homeowner association documentation. There's no proposed future development or building. The subject property is located on Highland Avenue.
If you'd like to make public comment regarding this project, please step towards the podium and state your name and address. Seeing none, I will close public comments. Would you like to just give us an overview of what the plan is?
Pat Trotter, Stonemark Land Surveying in Pequot Lakes. The plan is, as Bethany said, it's similar to the sketch plan that we looked at last month. The only changes we've made since last month was outlot D has become slightly larger outlots and lot 7 became slightly smaller. Other than that, it's still in kind of cleanup mode to catch the amenities of each lot into their ownership.
I guess we'll start with questions. Don, do you have any questions?
General question, we received by email some communications from the city attorney a couple of days ago. And has there been any change in that because of that?
Nope, no further comment from the city attorney.
Okay.
He feels that everything that needs to be addressed or looked at can be done so without interfering with your decision-making process tonight.
So those issues will be settled before the final.
Correct.
Just to comment, that's this lot is really weird outlets on it. They're all over the place, but I guess it gives it some distinction. So no comments.
I don't have anything in particular. It looks like, all the Ts are gonna be crossed and the Is dotted, and according to the city attorney and what you've done. And so personally, my own opinion on things, on projects like this, is when you start breaking them up, it's like old meets and bounds descriptions, they get very, very complicated and get nasty after a while. So anytime you can clean up title, I like seeing replats, so.
David?
We have no further comment. We think this is the cleanest way to resolve this.
I have no questions. If there's nothing further, I'll entertain a motion.
They do that.
Hmm?
What was that?
Motion, you wanna make a motion?
Go ahead.
Oh. I'll move that Planning Commission recommend approval of the preliminary plat for plat application number 027-22 to replat Roy Ridge. All according to the findings of fact that show in the staff report. And according to the staff recommendations, which are also in the report, listing numbers, 6 items in particular, so.
I'll second that, but I think that we should include the comment about the attorney's comments on the plat. Just,
That's fine.
You're adding that
So amended.
condition?
So what are we adding?
Tom's comments,
It's regarding tying out lot D with lot number 2. That will need to be addressed in the covenants.
Okay, I'll add that as a condition.
Yeah.
Okay,
No problem.
good.
I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
you're done. That was fantastic timing.
I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So move.
Second,
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Next item is new business. There's none. Old business, Shoreline ordinance revision.
Do you want me to jump in, Bethany, or is there any introduction you need, or you just want me to go in?
Yeah, I'm just trying to find the documentation. One moment.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Yep, no
no
problem.
problems. Yeah, Chris, you can go ahead, just start. This is just the first meeting, for the Shoreline Ordinance Review and Revisions. City Council approved us, continuing the revisions, and, Chris Pence is here to discuss that tonight.
All right, well, thank you, Bethany, and good evening, everybody, Mr. Chair, commission members. Everybody can hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, super. Just want to first say thank you to everybody for letting me continue to work on the process. I'm looking forward to it. And so kind of what I sent a memo to Bethany back on September 27th. And I'm kind of just this meeting here is maybe just kind of set out some of the more of the guiding framework and kind of some principles I'm going to follow as we do this, and just kind of maybe explain the process. And so feel free to jump in. I won't read the memo verbatim, but I'll definitely just go through it here a little bit. And like I said, feel free to jump in and ask questions. So from a timeline perspective, my plan is to meet with the Planning Commission in the months of November, December, and January. My goal at this point, I know in my memo, I talked about breaking it into maybe doing it into 4 pieces. I think I can do it in thirds. And so my real goal would be, I'd love to get a document to the Planning Commission that you guys have reviewed and looked at along the way, and to give you a document in January that you would be okay recommending to the council to approve. You know, if there are some changes to be made, we can push off that final draft until February. But depending on how things go, I would really hope to get you that a draft that I think you could start using with public hearing and process, or any comment periods you might want to use to get the word out. So that's kind of the time frame that I'm looking at right now. One thing that I've done is I've contacted the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources, and I've reached out to their ecological and water resources supervisor in the Brainerd office. And the DNR is responsible for oversight of when ordinances are being developed within the Shoreline district within cities in Minnesota. And so I got a hold of the supervisor named Seth Gorham today, and what he's hoping that what kind of our plan of attack is that as I provide for you guys the updates, on a monthly basis, I'll also provide them to him. And so I'll be getting feedback from you guys and from the DNR at the same time. And so hopefully by the time we get to January or February, you'll have an ordinance that the DNR has already reviewed and that they're going to support and can give their approval. Because anytime you do a shoreline ordinance, the DNR has to give the approval that it meets the minimum standards of the rule and statute. So anybody have any questions about that timeline? And does that seem to make sense to everybody?
I have a question, Chris. I know that we've
Yep.
had some questions concerning public involvement and when that would take place, and what the proper format for that engagement would be.
Well, I guess it's up to the city how you want to handle it, but my preference would be that we get the ordinance draft put together. And then I think at that point, we could hold some public meetings to get some feedback from some folks and take that feedback and bring it back to the planning commission and see how they want to use that. We could do it at a planning commission meeting in February, where we could get the public involved and make sure they have some opportunities to review. At the same time, all the revisions that I'll be putting together is obviously public data available to anybody in the public. And my goal will be to get the information to Bethany a week ahead of time, so it'll be in the packet. And so anybody from the public at that point will be able to look at it and read it and get some idea of where the ordinance is heading. So does that answer that question?
Yeah, you mentioned some public meetings. Is that something that we would do outside of the planning commission then?
We could. It's definitely how you guys want to handle that. We could definitely have a couple of just listening sessions with the community and get some feedback from them, or you could also have a listening session with the planning commission, kind of have a dual meeting with the planning commission too. So it's however you guys want to handle it. I'm open to however, whatever way you want to go and how you want to handle that. I'm completely open to whatever you guys want.
What are your thoughts?
That would depend on our agenda items, obviously. And we get on towards, November, December is probably pretty slow, but, start seeing preliminary plats and things coming in by that time, and after that, tying up.
So
We might be real busy at some of the planning commission meetings like last month, so.
I wonder, Mr. Chair and commission members, if it might make sense to, we could maybe hold a special commission meeting, maybe at the end of February between the meetings, where we're just focusing on the ordinance and public comment. And so that way we don't interfere with the business that you guys have to do on a monthly basis. It might make sense just to have a second meeting to have that face-to-face contact with the public.
If you have a public meeting in conjunction with a planning commission meeting, there's always a tendency to kind of rush because we've got the planning commission meeting right behind it. I guess personally, I think it should be a separate meeting with plenty of time for comments from the people. It's maybe going to have some complex ideas or some new ideas in there. And we'll need time rather than rushing it through a planning commission. That's just my personal.
Mr. Chair, I agree with that 100%. I would support a standalone meeting on a separate day, different from when you have your your committee meetings now, and so that we can really devote and give a lot of attention to the ordinance and really listen to what the people have to say, and then at that point you guys will be involved helping decide what gets into the ordinance and maybe what doesn't. So I would support that 100%. I think we could do that maybe at the end of January.
Are we gonna have some notice requirements so far as timing goes for a public meeting, if we had a special meeting?
We will have to notice. Chris, do you know what the timeline, if that's any different from any other notice?
Nope, it'd be just like you do now, 10 to 14 days. You just need to put that
Okay.
notice out so that people are aware of it.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, and we can, as we get closer, maybe say at our December meeting, we'll see if you guys feel like we're getting pretty comfortable for the ordinances and kind of getting to a point where we'll be getting closer to the end. And then maybe at that point we would set a date for the public, for a public meeting with the committee sometime at the end of January, maybe.
We're looking at a
That make-
draft of this by what, January?
That's
Yep.
what Chris is hoping for.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Draft by January.
Yeah.
Bethany, from the feedback that you received, is there any specific areas that residents were kind of interested in, or was it kind of all over the place?
There's multiple areas where there's interest, obviously boardwalks, and the shoreland, making sure that we're meeting the shoreland rules in Minnesota. There's other, the holes that we've found in our ordinance that Chris has identified. We're really looking forward to getting those taken care of. But as far as the public, I think for the most part, what I've heard is that people want to make sure that we're doing what we can do to be good stewards of our lakes and our resources.
I'll just move on to the next part of the memo unless there's any questions. It was brought up at the meeting last month by one of the citizens that there should be some guiding principles used to, help guide through this process. And so I put a list of them that I thought would be important to think about as we're doing this revision process. And the first guiding principle I had was just statutory and rule compliance. We want to make sure at the end of the day that you guys have an ordinance that complies with Minnesota Rule 6120, State Statute 103F, and Minnesota Chapter 462, the municipal planning part of the code. And so that's number one. And we just want to make sure we maintain that compliance and that the DNR will approve the ordinance as we have it drafted. Another guiding principle I think we need to focus on is just making sure that the ordinance lines up with the comprehensive plan. And so when we look at instituting these regulations and requirements, we should be able to tie them back to the comprehensive plan. So that'll be another piece of the puzzle as we put this together. Third guiding principle I had was just a transparent process. I don't think we want to do, this activities or this action behind closed doors. I think we want to be very open with the public so that everybody in the public, council, interested parties can have access to what we're working on. And so again, to do that, we'll be meeting with the commission every month and providing an update of the ordinance that'll be in the packet so that people can read and see where we're at. And so I do expect feedback. I want people to give me some thoughts and ideas so that we're tailoring this to to the needs of what the city and trying to implement the comprehensive plan. The fourth guiding principle I had is private property rights. I think anytime you impose rules and regulations on landowners, private property needs to be considered. I think the key to that is just making sure the ordinance is written in such a way that landowners understand the requirements of the ordinance, they understand the reason why, and then it allows for that administration of the ordinance to be with landowners to be clear and to be consistent and to inform the decisions that are made by both staff and by the committee when certain public hearing actions are needed, like variances, plats, those sorts of conditional use permits, those sorts of things. So I think that's always something just to keep in mind, but we weigh that out equally with the idea of the natural resource protection. And so what we want to do is make sure that the natural resources that you have in Nisswa now are maintained, and you maintain that great water quality, maintain, healthy, the healthy natural resources, the forested part of the city, all those areas, we want to make sure we maintain that in a healthy way. And so this ordinance needs to be developed in such a way that it will implement that too, because at the end of the day, that's the real nuts and bolts of a zoning ordinance is, you have your you have your health, safety, and just the general welfare of the community, but it's also natural resource protection. And so that's the purpose of the ordinance. And these are the guiding principles that I plan on following. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on that, or if there's any comments, or think I'm heading in the right direction. If there's anything you want to add, feel free to let me know. So I'll take that as an okay, that we're good to go with those as we work through that process. Those will be the principles I'll be following.
Anthony.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, everybody can still hear me okay?
Yep.
No,
Chris?
Brad Brooklyn, 924 Bass Lake Road. Just a quick, I loved your guiding principles. The one thing that I think could maybe improve it a little bit is just specify that a clear and concise ordinance. I mean, I think maybe that should be one of the bullet points, because that is going to it's going to help both the private property owners know what they can do with their property, and it's going to help protect the natural resources, because there won't be any ambiguities. So we'll, if there's something that the ordinance is not clear on, it could go either way. So I think that it seems to me, from what I've heard, that we want to make this ordinance simple, clear, so that developers, property owners, and the public know what's in it, know what they can and cannot do, so that we don't have to spend a year and a half trying to figure out the specific details. So, I mean, for me, if I were to see that as one of the priorities, I would like it. The other just real quick note is in the natural resource protection provisions, in the last sentence, provisions will be included that make the difference in protecting the wonderful natural resources. Just my own little opinion, rather than wonderful, I'd put the region's most important asset, lakes and waters, just so we are clear that that is what our most important asset is. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I appreciate those comments, and it kind of leads into my next the next part of the memo. You know, so you have a copy of kind of a skeleton of what, you know, kind of an outline of what the ordinance will look like. There will be some modifications to that. You know, as we go through it, there might be some, you know, some different ways that things might lay out, just depending on how the verbiage comes through. But I take that comment that was just, you know, brought in very seriously. If you look at that last paragraph, I wrote that the intent of this revision is to write an ordinance that is understandable, has key provisions and standards for common land uses in Nisswa, and frankly, be short and succinct. So, so that is definitely on my mind, and going to be one of the, it could be one of the guiding principles also, but that is definitely something that is on my mind, and something I find important is, you know, I don't think you need a long ordinance to be effective. What we're finding through talking with landowners and developers is that short and sweet and simple is what really makes ordinances effective and makes them consistent to administer from a staff perspective. So I appreciate that comment, and I agree 100%.
I think that's the track we've been on since, I think since first when Mr. Pence was here, when we talked about it, because our ordinance and the existing ordinance is very confusing, and it's left to way too many interpretations, and I think that's the track we're on. So I think we will find that it's precise, clear, and understandable when we're done. So is there a way to improve the audio when we're using Zoom? Yeah, if we had a room full of people, then right, it would be, something would get lost.
My plan going forward is to come to these meetings in person. So I don't plan on using Zoom into the future. So I'll be in person, and that should help with that piece a little bit.
No, it's not, I don't think it's particular with you. It's just anybody that's on Zoom and we're in these meetings. So it's, if you're gonna struggle to understand what they're saying just because of audio definition, it's not good.
Sure.
Okay.
Well, Mr. Chair, that was kind of what I was hoping to chat about tonight. Are there any other questions you have for me, or I can just get you back on your agenda and get the meeting going?
Any questions?
No, I have
No.
none.
We have no questions.
Our agenda is very short tonight. So.
Yes.
Well, that's not a bad thing to have once in a while. So thank you very much for the opportunity to chat, and I will be seeing you in about 30 days, and we'll have some ordinance to look over.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, Chris.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Yep. Thanks, everybody. Have a great night.
Next item is a city planners report.
Thank you, Chair, Planning Commission. We have some vacancies on the Planning Commission, as we're all well aware. We did receive an application for an appointment to the Planning Commission, and this evening an interview was conducted. We interviewed the applicant, Sean Weldon, and we found the interview to go quite well.
Do we need a recommendation to the city council?
Don, did you want to make that recommendation?
I'll move that we bring his name through the city council for approval. Just one question I have, is this a 2-year term or 3-year term? Well, figure out what the term length is.
Yeah.
He's filling a seat. We can probably look at that before it goes to council just to fill it into one of them. I can't remember. I used to remember the rotation, but
Whatever it is, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have that information on me right now. I apologize.
Do you need a second for the recommendation? I'll second because I was there. So,
It's second, but I'm totally unknown to me. Feel guilty even voting.
all those.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, motion carries.
That's a good thing.
Excellent. I have nothing further, other than we did 20 permits. I've done more since this was published, but other than that, I don't have anything else to add.
Looks good.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
No move.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?